Now comes the hard work of actually thinking what you're going to say to them, how to create a pitch that's irresistible in terms of they'll want to open the email and they'll read it and they'll want to contact you. So before we go ahead and actually write the email, we need to think about the content, okay? And here's what you need to keep in mind. Nobody cares about what you want to sell, okay? It's about what they need help with. And the reason that I'm saying this is that you might need to be a little bit creative. Okay, you might do the research that we did in the previous video and say, well, looks like their website looks great, their brand looks great, what can I help them with? And you need to be creative. It might not be what you're usually selling, but it might be that they need something else, okay? So nobody cares about the solution. Nobody cares about specific website, but they do have problems, and you can be creative about thinking about the current threats, what's going on in the world today, what opportunities they are missing. And trust me, even if the company is amazing, even if they have their own design, or even if they have their own, team working on their website, there are threats and opportunities that they don't have the capacity right now to think about and solve, just because they're working on what they're working on at the moment. And if you can highlight that to them, you can create a very good value proposition to them. So don't just try and sell what you usually say. Can I help you with branding? Maybe they don't need help with branding, but maybe they have a new project. So be creative about the services or problems that you can help them solve at this specific time. So here are the elements that you need to consider before you go down and write an email so that you have this planned. First of all, clear value proposition. What are you actually suggesting to them? What problem can you solve for them that's relevant to what they need right now, what they're working on, or what opportunity or threat exists in the business right now? The second of all is why you are writing to them right now. So this can't be kind of a generic value proposition. It has to be relevant to something that's happening right now. Otherwise, why didn't you write them a month ago? Or why can't they wait with this to deal with this next month? Okay, you need to think about what makes this relevant for right now, so they can't just say, well, that sounds great, let's do it in a month or so. It needs to be relevant and urgent to do right now. Third, you need to have some kind of a proof that you can help them. Okay, and that means you've done that maybe, or something similar in the past. Maybe you can create a case study, but there needs to be some kind of a proof that you can help. By the way, the proof that you can help may be that here's, I've attached something that I already did for you. That's a proof that you can help. Okay, so be creative about how you can show and demo that proof. And another thing is, why would they listen to you? Okay, so if this is a person that's getting a lot of emails because he's a manager, he's a founder, he's whatever, and they don't know you, they have no background of you, you need to show some kind of credibility, okay, what's called a social proof. And that can be done by either, look who I worked with in the past, or I was successful, or here's what I did, or here's what somebody said about me. Now, you might be at a point where you say, well, I don't have amazing testimonials at this point, but anything will do. Anything will be better than nothing. Even if you say, look, I worked with a client in the past that said this, and you give some quote, even if he doesn't know that client, even if the client is not in that niche, that's a little bit some kind of a proof and a social proof that you're a good person, you did this in the past, you worked with people in the past, and that the risk of working with you is reduced. Now, the last thing that you need to consider is, what are you going to give them as call to action? Can you make this as simple as write back yes or no, or something like this? It needs to be, the call to action needs to be very, very simple, so it's no-brainer to them to say, that sounds like a good idea, let's do it. Let me continue with the previous example that we started earlier, and I'll show you how I would think about this if I would try to reach out to them. So I was just researching here, going all the way down, and then I started clicking here on their social links, and I got to their Instagram account, which already I can see that it's not a huge success. All right, so it has 2,000 followers, but I can see it doesn't get a lot of engagement. So maybe I can help them build this somehow, even though I want to help them with their website, but their website looks not bad. But let's think about this. And then I clicked here on their Linktree and found out that they actually have a podcast. And I clicked on the podcast. They're doing a podcast. And hey, here's the guy. Here's Dave that we wanted to reach out to. So first of all, he's probably enthusiastic about this show. Maybe he does this show himself. And I can learn a lot by starting to listen to this podcast. And now I'm thinking, so they have all this podcast information that they're doing. Maybe we can turn this into good and engaging Instagram content. Now they're trying to do this here. I can see that if I click this, they turn this into kind of a snippet where they're using a quote, or they're just actually promoting this. And obviously this doesn't get here a lot of good traction, but maybe I can turn the content here to some quote or some post that will get better engagement. So one thing that's really easy for me right now is to go and get content from their podcast and try to turn it into Instagram posts. I might do like 3 of them just to show them as a gift. Hey Dave, you know what? I've prepared, I really like your podcast. I'm really interested, and I'm really working my way into the e-commerce niche as a designer. I prepared I think that your Instagram account is underutilized, and to help you improve that, I created 3 great posts for you based on your podcast or something like that. Would you like to keep discussing me helping you build your Instagram account or web presence for something like this? So this is an example of how I would create a value proposition. It might not be the core value or thing that I sell to clients, but that's a way to get me in there as a client, maybe on a retainer with them, and become a client and build myself in this e-commerce niche.